Hello and welcome to the Rested podcast, where we explore travel time rather than destinations and the joys and surprises of shared transport. For many, travelling on buses, boats and trains is now a lifestyle choice. My name's Mark Selby. I love the theatre of travel, discovering the stories of journeys and learning how people use their travel time. The journey so far. In a comedy sketch called The Four Yorkshiremen, a group of men claim that each of them had the hardest upbringing. Escalating hardships include living in a cardboard box or a hole in the road and working in mills as a child for 29 hours a day. It led to jokes such as, "When we were kids, we had to ride to school on a bike with no wheels." They came to mind as I listened to some people talk about train travel. Delays and expensive tickets peppered the conversation. Someone would raise the pain level and a modern equivalent of the Four Yorkshiremen took off. Though amplified for effect, the initial frustrations were clearly genuine. But the world of bus and train travel, I see, feels different. Perhaps its transparency has unintended consequences. On our Rested journey, we've looked at the difficulty of comparing the very visible cost of a train ticket with the real cost of travelling by car for the same journey. The invisible costs of depreciation, insurance, road tax, maintenance, parking, and fuel for a vehicle parked for 96.5% of its life are difficult to calculate and compare. Then Steve, a neighbour and regular train traveller, surprised me. He'd just bought return tickets from London to Scotland for only £48. The comparable journey next week would be £88. The secret? Buying well in advance of the planned journey. Something that doesn't come naturally in a world of convenience. Another transparency quirk is elapsed travel time. Motorists are often flexible on the departure time for a journey and have an ETA, that's an estimated time of arrival. By contrast, a train has a schedule, with stated departure and arrival times. A delay in either is easy to measure, unlike a delayed drive. Now, the delayed drive can have many causes, which makes apportioning blame difficult. By contrast, on the train, there's only one perceived party to blame: the train company. We forget the poorly maintained farm fencing that allowed animals onto the line, other trespassers, or malicious damage. Though I'm not suggesting all train companies are blameless. On our Rested journey, we noted that motorists adopting public transport resemble cyclists learning to ride horses. It's just different. The former mayor of Bogota once said, "A developed country is not a place where the poor have cars. It's where the rich use public transport." Well, now Bogota has gone further. Every Sunday, cars are banned from Bogota's major roads between 7 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, leaving them free for people to cycle and walk safely. 79 miles or 127 kilometres of road are car-free each Sunday. The scheme, called Ciclovia, has now been adopted by mayors in other Colombian cities and other countries, including Argentina and India. People who cycle during Ciclovia are twice as likely to also use a bike in the week. And 58% of Ciclovia users say the scheme has motivated them to ride bikes more frequently. Ciclovia brings down pollution on streets 13-fold, helps develop a sense of community, and noise levels are 7 times lower. Sean notes how the noise level fell in South Dublin during the school's recent half-term break, when there was less heavy car use, and where electric buses have been replacing diesel vehicles. Sitting in a park, he wrote, The thing that's interesting is most people who've walked past me have said hello, which I don't think happened previously when the sound was much more furious. Zoe from Farnham commutes to London by train in silence, catching up on admin work on the ride. She has a positive memory of one trip when a passenger fell ill on board and collapsed. Zoe and others went to her aid, putting her in the recovery position, providing space and notifying the guard and emergency services. As the train entered Waterloo Station, medical staff were ready and waiting for the passenger. Those travelling alone acted as one. And as Dr. Amy Hanser in Vancouver says, the first unwritten rule of bus riding is to keep to yourself when appropriate and make yourself available to respond to a situation when necessary. Recently, in Cornwall, a woman went into labour on a bus. Susan Lay, a freelance actor and teacher, said, "I did what I could to help with the very limited knowledge I have. I sort of channeled every film I ever watched or every episode of Casualty I have seen. I thought I could give her support and the ambulance would arrive and that would be it. But I didn't imagine I would be the one catching the baby. She was standing up and I caught it." Another birth on a bus took place in Spain last month, with the father, the bus driver, and passengers all assisting. Once delivered, the bus driver left the scheduled route and drove the bus, mother, baby and all to the hospital. It's wonderful when people travelling alone, reserved and normally silent, unite in acts of humanity and impromptu solidarity. Caroline from London has twice been surprised by the humanity of her fellow travellers. The first occasion was on a train soon after 9/11. She writes, "I was travelling from South London to Farringdon, where I worked at the time. There was due to be a national 2-minute silence at 11 a.m, which I thought I would miss. I was taken by surprise when the train pulled to a halt near Blackfriars and said we all had the opportunity to observe 2 minutes silence in memory of all the people killed in the Twin Towers. A late middle-aged man was speaking on his mobile phone, and instead of ending his call, he continued to speak in a loud, aggressive voice, complaining that he was being delayed. I asked him to consider the rest of us in the carriage, who wanted to observe the moment. He started to argue, and then other travellers supported me and told him to be quiet. He was duly silenced. I was shocked by his callousness, but rejoiced in the solidarity of the unknown people around me." Caroline continues, "The other event was on a commuter train the day after the European referendum in 2016. I got onto a crowded carriage. Typically everyone was quiet, as is normal, but there was an eerie atmosphere, as if we had all been shocked into silence. At the next stop, a young mum got onto the train with a toddler in a buggy. I can't remember who or what broke the silence, but then a young woman next to me looked down at the toddler and said, 'I am so sorry.' We all knew she was referring to Brexit, and suddenly everyone broke into animated exchanges with the people around them. Most Londoners voted Remain, as did most young people. I was part of a crowd of young Londoners and witnessed their collective moral outrage." Caroline says, "Both are small incidents, but their impact on me is enduring." I thought of Caroline as I watched the recent D-Day 80th anniversary commemorations with British paratroopers helping recreate the D-Day drops, then sadly watched them having to report to a desk in the field manned by French customs officers to stamp the passports of the post-Brexit aliens. As we've noted on the Rested Journey, we generally travel alone together, but the benefits of talking with and looking out for fellow passengers can be outstanding. Malin, originally from Sweden but living in London, wrote, "In the last year, I had so many great meetings with complete strangers on the trains to and back from Manchester, which I'm so grateful for, one resulting in business." In our journey so far, we've shared stories, insights, and, I hope, a few chuckles. There have been surprises and a glimpse of a potentially better and enjoyable world. The impact of us regularly taking a bus or train instead of a car for some of our journeys can deliver enormous benefits for us and others. And thank you to the woman laughing out loud as you read your Private Eye magazine on the train this week. It made us all chuckle. Your feedback and stories are fantastic. Please keep sending them to restedpodcast@gmail.com. I'm taking a break to travel, observe, and I hope to meet with some listeners. I'll be returning with more stories, and do look out for the meditation episodes. A special thank you to Liz and to Jackie in Versoix for your wonderful feedback and encouragement. Until next time, enjoy your travels. Thank you for listening to the Rested Podcast. Please subscribe on your preferred podcast service and share with a friend. I look forward to hearing from you and sharing your travel stories. Please email restedpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to everyone that has contributed to Rested so far. Enjoy your travel time.